Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. The Ricky Nelson mystery is finally solved, and it's not good news. Ricky Nelson was born Eric Hilliard Nelson on May 8, 1940 in Tenafly, New Jersey. His parents were Ozzie and Harriet Nelson, two famous entertainers back then. Ricky was pretty much born into show business. From when he was little, he was part of the entertainment world, appearing with his family on a long-running radio show and later TV show called The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. This show told stories about the everyday life of the Nelson family, and became something American families watched all the time during the 1950s and early 60s. As he grew up with millions of people watching, Ricky's charm, good looks, and natural talent made him a favorite with everyone who watched. But unlike many other kid actors, Nelson was able to break away from just being seen as a family sitcom star by starting a really successful music career. Back when rock and roll was still thought to be bad by older people, Ricky Nelson became one of the most respected and long-lasting stars in that music. He recorded his first song, I'm Walking, in 1957, which was his version of Fats Domino's hit, and it quickly went to the top of the music charts. This first song not only started his second career as a rock and roll singer, but also made him a teen heartthrob all by himself. During the late 1950s and into the 1960s, Ricky Nelson kept making hit after hit with songs like Hello Mary Lou, Traveling Man, Poor Little Fool, Lonesome Town, and It's Late. His smooth, pretty voice and clean-cut look helped make rock music easier for regular people to like and got him a group of fans who really loved him. He was one of the first teen stars to always show up on national TV, bringing rock music to millions of Americans in their living rooms. This was something that showed what would happen later with bands like the Beatles. By the time he was 21, he had already sold millions of records and had become one of the best-selling male singers of his time. But Ricky Nelson's career was not always easy. As the kind of music people liked began to change in the mid-1960s, Nelson had trouble staying at the top of the music charts. Instead of trying to follow changing trends, he chose to grow as an artist, getting into a more grown-up country rock sound. This choice led to him starting the Stone Canyon Band, a group that would help create the country rock style of music, something later used by bands like the Eagles. In 1972, he put out the thoughtful song Garden Party, which became a huge comeback hit. The song was inspired by a disappointing show he did at a Madison Square Garden concert where the crowd only wanted his old hits. The song was like a strong statement about being true to your art and staying real to yourself. It sent a powerful message. You can't please everyone, so you've got to please yourself. Besides his amazing success as a recording artist, Ricky Nelson made a big mark in the world of movies and TV, showing off his many talents as both an actor and singer. His movie journey started in 1952, with the fun family comedy Here Come the Nelsons, a movie that used his famous family's popularity. Just 1 year later, Nelson took a small but memorable part in The Story of Three Loves 1953, an MGM movie directed by the famous Vincente Minnelli. In this movie, Nelson played a young version of Farley Granger's character, showing his early skill for bringing characters to life on the big screen. As Nelson's popularity grew through his music career and the hit TV show, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, his talents caught the attention of major Hollywood directors. One of the most important moments of his movie career happened in 1959 when the well-known director Howard Hawks gave him a role as a gunslinger in the classic western Rio Bravo. Acting alongside stars John Wayne and Dean Martin, Nelson's role added fresh energy to the movie, and Hawks himself said Nelson's magnetic presence was a big reason why the movie made so much money at theaters. Nelson kept building his acting experience by sharing the screen with well-known stars. In 1960, he acted with the charming Jack Lemmon in The Wackiest Ship in the Army, a funny war movie that became popular enough to inspire a TV series. Though Nelson himself did not play his role again for the small screen. Always wanting to try different kinds of roles, he made guest appearances on shows like General Electric Theater, where his episode The Wishbook showed his acting skills beyond his musical fame. In 1965, Nelson took on the main role in Love and Kisses, a romantic comedy that was a special family team-up written and directed by his father, Ozzie Nelson. The movie also had Jack Kelly, and it let Ricky blend his acting skills with his charm and musical talents, making a heartfelt and fun movie. Nelson's TV guest spots became a regular part of his career during the late 1960s and 70s. He played the famous outlaw Jesse James in an episode of Hondo, appeared in the old-fashioned western The Over-the-Hill Gang 1969, alongside old-timers Walter, Brennan, and Pat O'Brien, and kept making appearances in popular series like McCloud, The Streets of San Francisco, Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law Petrocelli, and A Twist in the Tale. One really memorable guest role was on the Hardy Boys' Nancy Drew Mysteries, where Nelson played the character Tony Eagle. The episode not only showed his acting, but also highlighted his singing talents as he performed several of his well-known hits, making fans of both his music and acting work really happy. Nelson's presence also appeared on the beloved The Love Boat, adding to his long list of different TV roles. As his career went on into the 1980s, Nelson kept taking supporting roles in TV movies such as 3 on a Date and the teen comedy High School USA 1983, proving that his lasting charm and talent kept him wanted across many different entertainment shows. Whether on the big screen or the small, Ricky Nelson's acting career was a lively and active part of his many-sided artistic legacy. During his teenage years, Ricky Nelson became one of America's most loved teen idols, winning the hearts of millions with his clean-cut image, smooth voice, and boyish charm. With such fame came intense attention from fans and the media, and it was no surprise that he attracted the love of many young women. Ricky, like most teenagers, was eager to explore romantic relationships, and he dated a number of girls during these important years. However, despite his popularity and independence, Ricky's mother, Harriet Nelson, had a big influence over his personal life. Harriet was not only a guiding motherly figure, but also his co-star on the family's long-running TV series, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. She had strong beliefs about proper behavior, good manners, and the importance of keeping up a respectable public image, especially in the bright lights of Hollywood's spotlight. Harriet didn't approve of many of the young women Ricky brought home, or was seen with, often feeling that they did not meet the standards she wanted for her son. Her worries were not only about class or proper behavior, but also about Ricky's career path. She believed his focus should stay firmly on building a lasting and respected career in music and acting rather than being distracted by short-lived romances. Her protectiveness may have come from both a mother's instinct and her deep understanding of how fame could easily mess up a young star's life. Ricky, though often respectful of his mother's wishes, felt the conflict between personal wants and professional expectations. This tension was a repeating theme in his teenage years and early adulthood. Eventually, however, Ricky fell in love with a young woman who seemed to meet with Harriet's approval, Chris Harmon. The two were married in April 1963, in a much-publicized wedding that brought together two well-known American families. Chris was the daughter of Heisman Trophy-winning football star Tom Harmon and 1940s movie actress Elise Knox. The Harmons were longtime friends of the Nelsons, and the marriage was seen as a natural and good match. Two children of Hollywood royalty coming together in what many fans thought was a fairy tale wedding. Both families shared a deep connection through entertainment and public life, and this marriage in many ways showed a continuation of their legacies. Ricky and Chris went on to have 4 children together. Their first baby, Tracy Christine Nelson, followed in her father's footsteps and became an actress, making a name for herself with roles in TV and movies, including the series Father Dowling Mysteries. Later, Chris gave birth to twin sons, Gunnar Eric Nelson and Matthew Gray Nelson, who got their father's musical talent and charm. In the early 1990s, the twins got commercial success with their rock band Nelson, which became the first family act in history to have 3 generations of hitmakers. Their hit song, Can't Live Without Your Love and Affection, reached the top of the Billboard charts in 1990. The couple's youngest child, Sam Hilliard Nelson, named in honor of Ricky's father, Ozzie Nelson, whose middle name was Hilliard, also found his way into the arts, though he mostly stayed out of the spotlight compared to his siblings. Despite the outward image of a perfect family, Ricky and Chris's marriage faced growing challenges. As the years passed, the problems began to get worse following the birth of their last child, as differences in lifestyle, personal growth, and emotional distance began to make the gap between them bigger. Ricky's touring schedule and desire to start his music career often kept him on the road, while Chris reportedly struggled with the responsibilities and pressures of family life. There were also rumors of cheating and growing emotional disconnects. What once appeared to be a glamorous marriage between two public figures slowly fell apart, in private under the weight of personal issues and conflicting priorities. The couple's relationship got worse throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, leading to separation, and eventually to a long and painful legal battle over custody, finances, and public image. Their divorce was finalized in December 1982, marking the end of a nearly 2-decade-long marriage. Though the legal proceedings were emotionally hard for both Ricky and Chris, they each stayed devoted to their children, trying to keep a sense of stability for them despite the family upheaval. Ricky, in particular, was deeply affected by the end of the marriage, and had influenced some of the sadder themes in his later music. For decades, fans of Ricky Nelson, teen idol, rock and roll pioneer, and TV star have wondered about the exact circumstances surrounding his tragic and too early death. While some parts were known early on, many key questions remained. Was it really a mechanical problem that caused the plane crash that killed him? Was there something more sinister behind the events of that awful flight on December 31st, 1985? Over the years, the mystery surrounding Nelson's death became a subject of intense fascination and sad curiosity. Now, after years of investigation, expert analysis, and newly found accounts from witnesses and insiders, the full story has finally come into focus, and what it reveals is far from comforting. At the heart of the mystery lies the small DC-3 plane that Ricky and his band were flying in on their way to a New Year's Eve concert in Dallas, Texas. Early reports claimed that a mechanical issue, perhaps involving a broken heater or electrical short, caused a fire on board, leading to the crash near DeKalb, Texas. The plane caught fire in mid-air, and while the two pilots amazingly survived, Ricky Nelson, his fiancée Helen Blair, and 5 band members died in the fire. In the days following the disaster, rumors began to spread, some blaming drug use, others pointing fingers at bad maintenance, while still others guessed about sabotage or hidden foul play. For years, the cause was covered in official confusion. The National Transportation Safety Board eventually ruled that the fire started in the cabin, likely due to a broken heater, but they could not figure out the exact thing that started it. Meanwhile, guessing ran wild in tabloids and among fans. Whispers of smoking cocaine based on rumors that drug equipment had been found at the scene created a darker story that many believed unfairly hurt Nelson's image. However, toxicology reports found no drugs or alcohol in Nelson's system, and no solid evidence ever connected the fire to drug use. Still, the cloud of uncertainty stayed for decades, leaving an open wound for his family and a haunting question mark for fans. What finally brought answers were a series of investigative breakthroughs made possible by the persistence of aviation historians, forensic analysts, and journalists who were determined to uncover the truth. Previously overlooked technical records, combined with new interviews with aviation mechanics and the surviving pilots, revealed a much clearer and more disturbing picture. The aircraft, a World War II-era Douglas DC-3, had been poorly maintained and was operating under questionable safety conditions. Despite being aware of repeated problems with the heater system, problems that had been noted and even complained about on previous flights, the plane's operators failed to fix them properly. More shockingly, the heater had been jury-rigged in a way that made it a ticking time bomb with makeshift repairs that did not follow aviation safety standards. The heater was located just beneath the cabin floorboards, close to things that could catch fire easily. And when it broke during the flight, it started a fire that quickly filled the cabin with smoke and poisonous fumes. The lack of a fire extinguisher on board and fire-resistant insulation gave the passengers no chance. Ricky Nelson and the others likely died from breathing in smoke before the crash landing. According to forensic reports, the pilots managed to escape through the cockpit windows, but for everyone in the cabin, it was too late. The most chilling discovery was not just that the fire could have been prevented, but that people responsible for the aircraft knew it was dangerous and let it fly anyway. Looking back, the flight was a disaster waiting to happen. The final mystery, how such a famous person could die in such a preventable tragedy, was finally answered, but not with the kind of closure that brings peace. Instead, Ethos brought renewed sadness and anger. Ricky Nelson, a beloved entertainer who'd grown from child star to musical legend, was lost not to fate or personal failure but to human carelessness and system oversight. The truth now laid bare is hard to accept. It paints a painful picture of an avoidable disaster and reminds us that even famous people are vulnerable when those supposed to keep them safe fail them. Ricky Nelson's legacy as a cultural figure continues, but the circumstances of his death serve as a grim warning tale, a reminder that mysteries, when finally solved, don't always bring comfort. Sometimes they only make the tragedy deeper.